welcome to Qualified the Podcast. This is season 2, episode 5. I'm your host, Hassan. With me, I have traveler, philanthropist, best photographer by Baltimore Magazine, Mr. Jermaine Gibbs. Before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe. We are available on YouTube as well as all digital streaming platforms. The community is growing. I cannot be more happy to expand this platform with a gentleman such as this. Mr. Gibbs, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on this afternoon.
Awesome. Mr. Gibbs is reporting live from the East Coast, so we're just going to be respectful of his time. However, I just wanted to let the audience know this is going to be photography centric, but then also discussing things outside of that, such as travel, education, business, as well as style, because Mr. Gibbs is stylish. There's many pictures that you can find on his profile and Instagram that would really raise your eyebrows. I really respect a man who knows how to dress. In Houston, as well as it's a Southern thing, we try to stay clean, as best as possible. I'm going to let you do the introduction, but I just want everyone to know how I found you. Trent Atkins, a fellow photographer, colleague of mine, as well as Trey Tippins. We were swapping around ideas of photography. Trey sends over this amazing photograph in an urban setting. However, very, very well-dressed 3 individuals with a really nice, I think it's bagged, and it's very, very nice. And it's a very vintage look in a modern setting. Having said that, the colors and the saturation just really caught my eye, and I said, I got to find out who this guy is. So we've been doing the secret, photo crush thing back and forth, with the work. But then again, as we have this platform, I said, well, let's take a shot and see if we can speak with the gentleman, find out more about his work, what inspires him, and even more deeper than that, what you're doing outside of the camera. Can you give me the purpose of how you got into photography in the first place?
Oh man, so I started at a very young age, probably around 7 or 8 years old. And I think I fell in love with photography because for me, every photo is taking history because you can't go back in time. So for me, photography is documenting history and creating memories to have now and 30 years from now, and just to reflect back. I was like, wow, all these things are happening because, the world we live in is developing so fast. Mm-hmm. And if we're not documented, we can't really remember everything that happened. But photos will actually be able to let us live in those past and see the moment, because I think every generation of photographers should be documenting from their point when they first picked up a camera until they kind of leave this earth. That way, the next generation of photographers, not just photographers, but people, because people need to study history and know actually what was going on. So one of the best ways to do that besides film is photography.
I agree. Yeah, it's very easy for us to take pictures, right? But the difference between, in my opinion, the difference between a picture and a photograph is the technical aspects of how you executed it. Because we can be in the moment and there's a lot of things that we can see, but they don't come out the way you shoot. Like it's a little different, right? So we can tell that there's a level of interest beyond the scope of, let me just capture this. That's taken with those. We can go on for days about how that work really looks. But I agree with you. Is there any other media that you dabble in besides photography?
Pretty much that's my number one thing is photography.
Okay.
I do love art, but I don't paint, but I have a huge appreciation for art. And I do collect art, but for me personally, my go-to medium is photography. And I actually started with film, so I kind of understand film, and if I could shoot in black and white more so I would, but because the demand and the times we live in, they kind of give you that, okay, play around with colors. Yeah. But now I'm creating ways to manipulate colors and be more creative, just so when people see images, it kind of does something to them. It picks up when they see it, they look at it, but it's not just like, there's something more than this photo. And for me, I've learned over the years, when I look at a photo, I see one thing. And when I come back and look again, I'll see something totally different that I didn't even recognize that was in the shot. And then sometimes you just get these shots. Most of my really amazing shots are sometimes a shot that I wasn't even really trying to create. It just kind of happened in the midst of trying to create another shot.
Sure, sure. The I learned on film as well. It was really, really fun. I had a 1973 Canon A1. It was given to me by my father, 35 millimeter, and then I didn't graduate. I actually incorporated medium format. So I was using a Pentax because I couldn't afford the Mamiya, right? And but those are the two that I stayed with in film before I transitioned over to digital. But yeah, no, film was excellent. Black and white was my specialty. I think I'm more of a tonal in terms of preference. I like tone more than color. I like contrast more than color in terms of what I can deliver. However, you can't miss a good color photo, and yours are intense. I mean, in terms of the saturations, I mean, they just pop, they catch you. You have no choice but to look at them.
I appreciate awesome. That.
Yeah, no, awesome. Okay, so how long have you been in the business?
So I've been in the business, running my business, photography business, for 11 years now.
Okay. So and is that mainly out of Baltimore?
Mainly, I'm based out of Baltimore, but I've been doing a lot of work in other states, and I do a lot of work in Ghana. So in Ghana and just the continent period, because about 4 or 5 years ago, I picked up this really strong interest for understanding and wanting to know more about tribes.
Okay.
So I've been doing heavy work with tribes. So what I did 2 years ago was started these Nat Geo type of trips. But because Nat Geo trips are so expensive, a lot of us can't afford them. So it's a fraction of that cost. But I give you the same in-depth experience and get you deep into the bush and let you get close access to the different tribes and different things that you probably would never do. So I did a trip to Tanzania in 2019. We were supposed to do Ethiopia last year, but because of COVID, that was held off. Sure. We are heading over to Ethiopia in September for 13 days.
Okay, so let me just make sure that I lay that out one more time. Okay, you are sponsoring effectively and or hosting a Nat Geo level trip, taking individuals, photographers, and amateur as well as professional, that don't have access to the resources to do the National Geographic sponsored. You're with the program or provide the program to take them into continental Africa. I can't even say this with a straight face. Continental Africa to Ghana and or Tanzania and Ethiopia. I'm speechless because of how important it is. It's beyond that. It is beyond important. I don't think I could describe that the right way. That was a wow moment I didn't expect. I've read your profile, right? I looked at what you were doing. I mean, I read the article where you were digging the well, and it's, well, okay, great. This is philanthropy through and through, and this is fantastic. And that's what I thought that I was going to talk to you about, but this is a little different. So what made you, or what propelled you to be a part of this and or to even put a program like this together?
I think it's this. So when I started photography years ago, I reached out to all the big name photographers in the Baltimore, DC area, asking them different questions about what camera should I get and how could they assist me and blah, blah, blah. But for some reason, none of them gave me good answers. They gave me very short answers.
Okay.
And at that moment, I made a decision that I would never be that guy. Whatever I had, I would be willing to share with others, because understand how it feels when you're trying to get somewhere and trying to learn something or get into a special niche, and it's already extremely hard for us to get into certain arenas doing this.
Sure.
That when God gave me the opportunities and share the resources with me, that I was going to open the door for other people. So that's kind of how that was birthed.
Amazing. This is very not at the same scale, but the mentality that you took was actually the same that I have myself, which is I can't keep all this stuff. I've done enough, I've seen enough, I've been published well enough that if someone else who hasn't is curious about how to, then I have to give you that. I mean, we can put a price tag on it, but I mean, it's just conversations, Yours, though, the platform for how you would provide a trip like this, I need this information. I need you to tell me, how this is going to work at the end.
Okay.
Because this is incredibly important. In terms of what I read about you, right, being voted the best photographer by Baltimore Magazine. Well, I'm not from the area, right? But it did remind me of similar accolades that we get out here too. Is Baltimore a Black publication, or is it just a solid citywide publication?
It's a mixture.
Okay.
It's a mixture. That's the best way to put it, because a lot of the people in the categories wasn't necessarily Black.
Okay.
So I would say it's a good mixture.
Well, that's, personally, I feel like that's better in theory. I don't want to make it a hot take, but at the same time, when you look at yourself on the platform of being in the industry as a Black American, to be in the talent pool and the consideration pool amongst other Black Americans is great. And to be voted the best is great. But if it's a very unilateral competition, then it incorporates everyone, bigger pool, right? And you still emerge a shark. Hey, that's really good. That's good. Well, congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
So how long ago was it? What year was that?
That was this year, actually. That was just a month ago.
Okay. All right, then. Well, you got the title. So there it is. Okay. Very cool. Are there any other notable publications that you've made? In most recently, I guess?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing to me, and it still is near and dear to my heart, because this was something that I only dreamt about, that I have worked featured. I was part of the opening of the new African American Smithsonian in DC. I had 19 images that's actually currently still in their archives, and still, like, if you go on the top exclusive level where Oprah Lounge and all that is, you'll see a lot of my work throughout there. But I was part of the first initial exhibition that they do. Is called More Than a Picture. More Than a Picture. So I had 6 photographs that was actually in that exhibition. So I think that's like the biggest thing. I currently have an exhibition in Chicago, and I'm the featured artist in an exhibition right now in Indianapolis.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm glad we're doing this interview now, because it's not going to be a memorandum, so to speak, because you can actually go see these exhibits, right? The world is opening back up in this theory. So that's good. I'm actually going to look forward to that, because I travel, now that we're all back sort of to getting back into jumping on planes again. Might have to put that on my hit list, but that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, congratulations again.
Thanks.
When I'm looking at your Instagram, and amongst the things that I've seen, and the New York flash mob is what caught our attention in the first place, which is that one photograph that sent me down the rabbit hole, so to speak. However, looking at your Instagram, you are showing yourself in a myriad of style, suits. You got some fashion, you got a lot of style, which I really, really like. So is that always been your thing, or are you just kind of picking that up now?
No, actually, ever since I was a teenager, I remember going through these different phases with style. So it's funny. Me and some friends was sitting a couple months ago, and they were just laughing, like, all these styles these guys are now wearing. I was doing it when I was 15 years old, like the distressed jeans, the tight t-shirts, and spray painting on the pants. And then I just went through a phase where I only dressed up. I didn't wear any jeans at all. Yeah. So style has been something that's definitely been heavy since I was young, a teenager.
Okay. So my grandmother, rest her soul, used to say this. She says, if you really want to be taken seriously, there's 3 things that you have to do. You have to hold your head up straight. You need to look people in the eye. And you need to dress for the occasion, right? So I have always felt that there was a need to be presentable above board, right, in these rooms. And I saw that too, because the large window pane suits that you have, I think it was the brown one, because I don't forget, like, when I saw that, I was like, I like this one, because I got a blue one, so this makes sense. So are they tailored, or are you just buying them and hemming them? No,
so every suit, 90% of every suit I wear now is tailored or custom made.
I love it. Again, similar interests. For us as a people, though, again, my thought process has always been that way, because it's been incorporated in my life by the teachings of my elders. Do you feel like that's important as well? I mean, individual style, but I mean, public perception in general.
Definitely major. because I know people don't want to believe this, but perception is everything. And you know, I've had a lot of different companies and brands reach out to me that want me to wear their clothes. And I asked them, like, because I got probably almost 17 brand deals right now.
Mhm.
And I'd never reached out to any of them. They all reached out to me. And I always ask them, like, why do you reach out to me? They said, one of the key things that we really like about your Instagram is not many photographers show them and then show different ways. Like, you show your family, you show different sense of style, and just like, we get to actually kind of know you, not just you taking photos and posting them. So that's kind of what made us and we can just sense the energy, and we see the level of engagement. So it feels good to put a suit on and walk in the room, but it also feels good sometimes. Just like 2 weeks ago, I went in to pitch a deal and I had some jeans on and a t-shirt.
Sure.
So it really is all about how confident you are in who you are and what you do.
Yeah.
But also, sometimes knowing how to show up, because you want to wow people when you walk through that door. And I'm a big wow. I like to be a big wow factor where, like, oh, wow, not only he's an amazing photographer, but he dressed really good. He has a really nice suit on. And, people can tell a good person that knows suits will know a good tailored suit when they see
He
it.
says, "Oh wow, he's embracing his grays," right? I said, "Yeah," which kind of let me know others don't, right? I I don't necessarily, because if I let all this grow out, it's still patchy for me. So for me, I just shave it down. But I still look like a 14-year-old. So and my point though is this: I was in these art showcases, I was in these exhibits, I would be standing next to my work, and no one would look at me as though I was the creator of this image. No one would. I was at one. It was actually a documentation of Hurricane Ike. So Hurricane Ike hit the Gulf Coast in 2008, decimated Houston, right, and a lot of other cities as well. But it erased our coastline. It shredded 6 feet off the shore. I actually have, as well as other photographers, but myself personally, I took 2 photographs of an area of that city that were never going to be the same, right? So that went into that book, hit Barnes and Noble, 250,000, copies and stuff. And then they did an art showcase based on it. And even in that, I'm standing next to it and everyone's walking past me, talking about the work, walking past me. Like it doesn't matter. I might as well have been the wallpaper, right? But it is presentation. And it is not as though I was underdressed. I just looked like a baby. So they just didn't think that I was the one, But you're right. I agree with you. Presentation is everything. It really is important. It is. Again, the nature of when we found your work, it was based on that one photograph, but it seems as though that photograph was a part of the flash mob organized convention.
Yes.
Okay. Can you give me some history on that? Because it's the first time I ever saw something like that and it looked fantastic.
I've been working with, I'll say last year, Black Menswear is the organization who put these flash mobs together.
Okay.
And I was the photographer who did the DC one where they on the steps, and it just happened to be the weekend of the passing of Chadwick Boseman.
Okay.
And we all kind of did this pose and we posted that picture and it just went viral. And they reached out to me and asked me would I be willing to come on board and be their lead photographer for the tour.
Okay.
So I decided to do it. After that, we did 2 other cities, and then we started this year in March, and we've been in a different city every month. So the mission behind Black Menswear is about changing the narrative, about thinking every Black man is a murderer or a rapper or all these different things. So it's brothers come together, everybody's dressed up, tailored suits on, regular suits, tennis shoes with suits on, just kind of whatever the style. Every different city brings a different type of style.
Sure, yeah.
But it's really a big, to bring together 350 Black men in one small tight circle, and just to see the level of love and how brothers talk, and it's and I've not seen not one negative thing go on. It's been no altercations, nothing. It's been nothing but networking and brothers from one city networking with other cities. It's now becoming a thing where a lot of these guys are following the tour. Where literally every month they look forward to coming into this new city and meet new brothers. You got business owners, you got lawyers, you have all different types of level of people, but it's unlikely that you will ever see Black men come together like this if it wasn't for this organization. So it's been an amazing journey. I think we are on city number 5 so far. We about to hit the LA in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it's been an amazing journey, and I think the more so just about impactful. And then we was in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, and there was a mother of a teenager. She brought her teenage son out there, and she said she could never get him in a suit, but she showed him the picture, and he wanted to come. She bought him, and she was just in tears, like, man, you have no clue how much my son is really enjoying this and how much this really impacted him, because I could have never got him in a suit until I showed him the picture and told him that y'all guys was coming to Chicago. So we just want to thank you for really stepping up and really helping impact the younger brothers and letting them know it's okay to wear a suit. So, we get these different stories from different people from every city. So it's really good to understand that it's not just about the dressing up and taking a picture, but it's really about creating impact and helping change the narrative.
Yeah, I got Million Man March vibes from it. You know what I mean? When I saw that level of congregation, you can't assume anything negative is happening there. But we are the people, so we understand that the presentation matters. If you catch let's go 30,000 people outside in one area, it's most recently it was been a protest, which is all the sense in the world. But prior to that, let's just rewind. If there's been any other time since the Million Man March that something has looked this massive, not by my count. Look, shout out to them. I mean, they've done a really good job in organizing something massive, and it means a lot. It means a lot. I immediately thought, hey, I wonder if they're going to come to Houston, because we have it. And then I saw, actually, when I was talking about trying to get this organized with you, I saw that they already came. It looked really good. The New York one was shot. I saw the video for it. I saw the lead up for it. Did you shoot the video visual or just the photos?
So my partner does all the video visuals, and I do all the photography.
Okay. Well, it was a great showcase. Great showcase. I'm going to look up more about Black menswear just in general, because the mission, much like yours, makes a lot of sense. And I would like more information on them. Hopefully I can speak with them too.
Yeah, and the organizer actually originally from Houston, but he's based in Dallas.
So on to missions. H.O.P.E Mission Ghana. Now, is this an organization that you're a part of, or is this your organization?
So let me give you the backstory on how this whole started. So in 2016, a church reached out to me and asked me would I be willing to travel. And I said, oh, of course I'll be willing to travel. I'll even go to Africa. And they said, oh, well, that's weird, because that's where we was going to ask you to go. Okay. So I actually went with them. They was doing a revival for about 28 days there. This is my first time on a continent. Had no clue what I was going to see or witness or experience, but I always wanted to go to Africa, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity. So I went, and I seen so many things that just really opened my eyes and just changed the perspective on life, and thinking about all the times that I was complaining and these people are over here suffering like this and living like this. Yeah. So I wound up coming home and say, man, I want to go back next year. And I went back the following year by myself. I did a Facebook campaign and raised about $3,500, and collected a whole bunch of school clothes, school supplies, clothes, and everything, and went back and I knew 2 people from the prior trip. So I told them I was to come back, and we went to these villages and was able to bless 3 different villages. And then before I left, I went and visited this one village, and I seen the water they was drinking, and I was like, man, this can't be real. And I just started talking to them, like, how can I fix this problem, or how can I assist, or what can I do? And I came back and told some of my friends, and I told them I wanted to start a nonprofit, and that's how H.O.P.E Missions came to life. So H.O.P.E Missions HOPE is actually an acronym for Help Open People Eyes, because that's what it did when I went. It opened my eyes.
Okay.
And the first year we organized it, we raised about $10,000. Took 7 people there. We completely renovated the school. We built a well. We built 6 restrooms at the school. And then we just been doing it ever since. And currently, one of my neighbors, I was having just a conversation about Africa and was telling about what I do. So she's actually now building a well. This is her second week into the project. And I had some people in my studio last week, and they was talking about their nonprofit and, asked me would I be willing to come on board and do the photography part. And I told them about mine, and they were just so intrigued. So they now have accepted to build a well. So it's been really good. And we built a well in India probably about 4 months ago.
Okay.
And we've been providing masks and food and different stuff like that. So I am the founder of Hope Mission. So I kind of use my platform on social media because there's such a large audience to be able to get these projects done.
Sure. Out of curiosity, what is the economic outlet for building a well in an impoverished nation?
So you're looking at about $1,200. But that one well will provide water to about 300 to 400 people in that village.
In the village, $1,200. Important for people to understand is that the amount of money that you spend on certain items, and look, everyone has their vices and everyone has their own preferences, and far be it for me to try to tell someone that they're wrong for spending where they spend. But if you really thought about helping, it really isn't that much money, right? And listen to 2 brothers saying it instead of Sally Struthers. Like it is something that doesn't cost that much when you're there. I had similar experiences in Thailand where I saw a level of poverty that I had never seen before. And so that this isn't sunshine and rainbows for me anymore. Like this is something else, This is beautiful. This is beautiful. I'm getting more and more wow information, right? Like as I'm talking to you. But the building of a well. Did you go to India as well?
I have been so I did missions in India in 2017. Okay. So I kind of already seen hands-on, because I tell people all the time, India probably was one of the most scariest trips, because again, I went with an organization that was pushing Christianity, where of course in India is more about Buddhism or Muslims. Yeah. Christianity is still not accepted in certain areas. In certain areas you can be killed if you are talking Christianity. So it was one of the scariest trips, but it just opened my level to my eyes to see that it's just not Africa that's suffering. There's so many other third world countries, and to experience and all these places I go to actually live amongst the regular people. So I'm not staying in a luxury resort. I'm not doing all this. I really stay and sleep and live like they do and eat the bare minimum stuff and just experience the real deal. Because for me, it's hard for me to be here and trying to soak up the experience, but at the end of the day, I'm going back and sleep in a fancy hotel.
Sure. Yeah. No, 100%. Well, I mean, just in this conversation, I understand where your mind is. I think your heart's in the right place as well. I personally do not enjoy high-level luxury stays. However, I haven't done too many third world countries. I've done a few, but when I'm there, it's still very much, hey, where are you staying? Where do the people go? Where do they party? Where do they socialize? I want to be there. Danger zone or not, like it just makes more sense to understand why I'm here, because it's not to be at the beach. It's just not that for me. Your trip to the continent was, from what I understand, three countries. Oh no, you're going to Ethiopia. So you've done 2 already?
So I've done Ghana, Kenya, okay. Tanzania, and Ethiopia will be my 4th country. Okay.
All right. So just not counting Africa as well, but what is your favorite location that you've been to?
To be honest, I actually loved India, even though it was scary. And I think what it was is a lot of these people never seen a black person in their life, especially somebody dark like me. Yeah. So it was crazy that I could almost go down no street without somebody asking to take a picture with me.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And just the level of, it's crazy because I don't know, people always say this, but it's just like literally being in neighborhoods and people just invite you in their house.
Mhm.
It's just, I don't know what is on me, but it's something that just attracts people, and they just love all on me. And I mean, I have so many pictures with just people that just love and open their arms and just invite me to their house and make me feel like family. So sometimes I go to these places and it'd be hard for me to come back home because I get so accustomed to
Yeah,
the level of love and appreciation, and nobody seeing color.
that's very well said. Are there any places that are left that you kind of can't wait to go to?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of places. I'm actually really looking forward to going to the Philippines, Dubai, Pakistan. Like, something on my list is not the typical travel stuff because now I've got so in depth with culture and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to Belize in 3 weeks for my birthday.
Okay.
And of course, I had to go do some research on what type of people it is. And I came to find out there's some people that's called Grafina,
Mm-hmm.
which are the biggest population in the States is actually in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But they are a mixture of people that was brought in from the slave trade.
Yeah.
And there's an area in Belize that they still do everything that way. So I'm really looking forward to taking one day off my birthday vacation to actually go and study and learn more about this culture.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's your first time going to Belize?
This will be my first time.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I heard that so from a lot of people.
Yeah, I almost ripped up my passport. like it was just like I could, because you could stay there. Number one, I mean, I'm sure you've done the research, but the common language there isn't Spanish, although it's in Central America. It's English or Creole. But even then, it's such a hodgepodge of uniquely different Caribbean as well as Central American and Latin Black people. It's just mind blowing. And then, when you go further up north of Belize, you're almost in Mexico at that point. And then now it becomes this infusion of Mexican, style and culture in this one little city, one little subsection. Sugar City, Orange Walk is where that is. So it's not very far from Belize City. So when you get there, you can put that on your list. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm 6 hours away from the border driving from Mexico. Best tacos I had was in that little small town in Belize where Mexico infuses into the Belizean community.
Okay.
Best. It cost me like $2. I got like a tray of 6 of them. So
I'm gonna definitely have to go check that out.
100%. Okay, well, very cool. Yeah, I get it. Your explorations around the world, granted for the right reasons. We share the same mentality. I'll say it like that. Just being amongst the culture is important. I lived in 2 places abroad, like truly lived 2 places abroad, but one of them was in England. And so for that, it's very first world, but nice, rural, because I stayed in Stansted instead of London proper. But then I also lived in Hong Kong. And that was eye-opening as well. But again, first world, very progressive, but not the same. Which always leads me to a question that I ask amongst similar travelers in our ethnicity, is how important do you feel traveling is for us as a Black culture?
I think it is the most important thing that you can do while you're alive, because sometimes lack of exposure keeps us inside this box. But I believe the more you expose yourself to different things and to different cultures, it'll open your eyes up and start taking the thing off of. A lot of people be like, oh, the sky's the limit and this and that. And I try to tell people the sky is not the limit. That's just a plateau. There's so much more than that you can achieve. But if you say you live in Baltimore and you live in inner city, and it's so crazy, there are people who haven't even been to DC, which is 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
New York train ride, 2 hours and 45 minutes. So I think traveling is something that must be done, and not just to Miami and places like that, because you're not really getting to understand culture, and it don't give you a real value of traveling. They don't give you the experience that you're probably looking for. So I think everybody should travel to the continent at least one time.
Yeah.
And then to other places, you can go visit an island and other stuff like that, but try to go off the beaten track of not just the tourism stuff, but just to understand and to see how people are living outside of the US, because it'll humble you and it'll take you from ever thinking about complaining when you be able to see that these people are actually living like this, and people are no electricity and no water, but a lot of people of us, we haven't seen these things. We see it on TV, but it's totally different once you hands on and can see it and touch it and smell it. It'll really kind of change your life. So this is why I started this travel thing, because some of these people are amateur photographers, some of them are experienced photographers, but to be honest with you, they're more so going for the experience, because they know I can get them into these areas that they will never ever. In the first trip we did, I wish I could have documented the entire thing, because and another thing I like to do is I like to merge the two. So I had about 15 or 20 photographers from Tanzania. I brought them along with us, so they got to ask questions and just, what's the difference being here, being there. And I wanted them to embrace each other. And by the time the trip was over, it's like, wow, we just have a whole different level of respect for each other.
Yeah.
So I think that's super important. And I'm praying now that COVID is coming off, that I can start doing 2 and 3 of these trips a year. And not just to Africa, but to different places. Like I would love to do England. I'd love to do Hong Kong, China, Germany, and just different places, so we can see. It's like, wow, we're everywhere.
Yeah, we are, and also how we are perceived and received everywhere changes. It might change every hour, right? Like as far as you travel out in 1 hour, everything was cool, and then all of a sudden it became very different. My northern, past the Bering Strait northern area travels, some very interesting stories, which is, kind of a reason why my friends were saying, hey, you really need to start talking about these things, because my perspective is that of a Black man traveling, and I travel alone. I don't really travel in groups. So the way that I'm received, because I'm very sociable, but sight unseen, like just right there, just seeing me and meeting me at the first time, it's a little different everywhere you go, but you do warm up. Like it does warm up, but the initial, man, that's a little rough to get over sometimes when you're traveling through the European areas, just depending on where you go. But awesome. This is, you are blowing my mind. I really appreciate this. The modern image of a Black male now in America is strange. It's actually polarizing now. I feel like it's changed progressively though. Like there was a time frame, which is circa the 80s, where a tough guy was very large, maybe some tattoos, mostly muscles, handlebar mustache. That was the stereotypical image of what intimidating was. And then we progressively get more and more into this area where hip hop intrinsically is saturated everything in American culture, so you can't deny it. However, we are still viewed as a threat. And I don't have the answer to this. I just have a growing concern every day. I have a son now. I have, and I'm still me. So we still have these things to worry about. But in terms of the modern image of the African American male, do you feel like there's a modification that should happen amongst us?
Sometimes I walk in certain rooms, and the typical dress is just a t-shirt and some jeans, and the way people look at you. But then when I open my mouth and start talking, I can kind of see heads go like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start talking about certain things and places and things I've done. And it's like, oh, this is not the typical. And I think it's because this perception of, my beard, the gray hair, and just because I'm the way I'm dressed, they probably could think I'm somebody off the streets.
Sure.
But, so it's just one of those touchy subjects that I'm just gonna say we still got a long way to go.
There's that too. I dabble. I respect the answer, by the way, because this by no means is me trying to find a solution to it, but I do believe that we need to have enough conversations about it coming from people who have impact, so it doesn't feel like there's someone wagging your finger and, hey, young kids, don't do that anymore. Like, no, look, I am tattooed and gainfully employed. Okay. So like, and we all are eclectically artists in our own right, and artists can be creative and we can be eclectic, and everything is fine that way. It's just how to get over the threat, the perceived threat, all the time. I do think presentation does have a lot to do with that, but I think education has more to do with it. So I was having the conversation with him, and even he was saying, what you say when you're in the rooms is where the impression is. Well, that's true, but how you look when you get into the rooms also will allow you to make the impression. Like, they may not even want to hear from you should you not be presentable, right? So in itself, it does matter. It's a long way to go. Like you said, it's a long way to go. A lot of factors in that chess game, for sure. Well, I needed your opinion. The nature of the podcast isn't about necessarily me knowing everything. It is far from that, actually. What it is I want to make sure that I'm having good conversations, whether or not it's social discord, with individuals who have influence, opinion. I mean, I respect everyone. I just want to make sure that the platform isn't just me babbling on about my own thoughts and ideals, right? And your work, as well as now knowing the philanthropy that you have, is beyond impressive. I mean, I'm very glad that we're able to make this connection. So on with the way your presentation is on Instagram, you have yourself, you have your work, and then you also have your family. You have no reservations about showing your family on social media. You like that?
I am my family, and my family is me. So without my family, there is no me. So it's very important that people understand that, yes, I'm a photographer, I do the philanthropy work, but there's also a balance where I have to spend time at home. So sometimes if I'm not answering my phone, I'm not answering my email right away, it's like, oh, well, he do have a family, so maybe he's with his family. Mm-hmm. So, it took me a while that was probably one of the hardest balances to set, because I think sometimes as creative and a person who always says yes, 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 understanding that, okay, now I have to get to a place where it's just not me. It's like, okay, is this going to make sense for me? Is this going to make sense me being away from my family?
Yeah.
Is this going to cut back on me being home with my family? So, yeah, so family is super, super important to me. And I think just allowing people to kind of share my journey, not just the work I do and not just the philanthropy, but just, as a Black man and having a family and showing how important family is.
Sure. I agree. I believe it. I think there's levels to it, of course, right? In terms of who all shows what. But again, I feel like, I joke with my friends, I almost hear pictures, right? Like you can sense something there when you're looking at it, when you truly study it. I mean, even your daughter's laughter, like I can hear it, and I mean that with all due respect. You take excellent pictures. I think they capture the moment the way that they need to. So it's fantastic to see. It really is good to see. In respect of your time, again, I very much appreciate this. The fan questions you actually kind of answered, because we were talking about the shoot in New York, and you said it just came about. I mean, this is more opportunistically taking fantastic photographs because everyone was there. But we do have two questions. Sure. One, the motorcycle, was that staged, or did someone just have the motorcycle?
So actually, one of the guys who came to the flash mob drove that motorcycle.
Wow.
And it was actually parked there. And I asked him, do you mind if I take a picture of using your motorcycle? Because what I was trying to do, this kind of, for me, that picture was old school Harlem back in the day, but a new school version of it.
Yeah.
The bike was kind of the old school. The background scenery was that old brownstone, but the saturation of the colors of the suit was like, ooh, it pops.
Okay. And so the other question about the photography, there's a couple. Oh, there's a couple in the pink suits, man and woman.
Yes.
Okay. So they were just there, right?
No. So actually, when I travel to these cities, sometimes I open my books up for people to book me for photo shoots since I'm in that city.
Okay.
So actually, that guy I met in DC at the very first one, him and his girlfriend was in New York, and they asked me, you know, they had reached out to me about 2 months prior to this and asked me, hey, we're going to be in New York at Flash. I'm always wondering, can we book a session and do a photo shoot? And I said, sure. And of course, like you, I did my research. I went and looked, and I said, man, it would be really nice if we can do those pink suits, but you probably don't want to do that because you already did it. He said, well, we did those pink suits, but we didn't get the pictures we were expected to get. So we actually, that's what we was going to wear. I said, oh yeah, let's do it. I said, we do that, I guarantee we'll probably break the internet. He said, man, you ain't going to do that. I said, okay, well, let's try it. We did the photo shoot, posted it. And before you know it, somebody had sent me something off of Facebook. It had been shared like 10,000 times. And I
Wow.
said, Jesus Christ. And then on Instagram, literally, it ran strong for almost 6 weeks. It's the longest running photo I ever took. That usually stuff is maybe a week or two. But I was like, wow, this is still going on. I'm talking about people with pages of thousands, millions sharing this photo.
It's a strong photo. Your imagery, at least just speaking on the flash mob itself, the imagery that you captured in the New York flash mob, the New York ones had such impact. Maybe it was just the color. Maybe, you know what? Actually, I'll take that back. I know why. The backgrounds are different. And so I'm fully confessing that I'm a little jaded to my surroundings and my scenery because I've shot everywhere over here. So I can tell you where you shot the flash mob here. But New York isn't my town. So when I'm looking at the bridge or when I'm looking at, the brownstones, I'm jealous. I'm like, oh man, you shot over there. Like, I wish we had a brownstone. Womp womp. Like we don't have it. But I think it was the setting in itself, as well as the appearance of the individuals. That's what made it pop. The large gathering at the harbor. That was it for me. I said, nope, I got to reach out. I got to talk to him. There's nothing else to say about this. Can you please let the community know where to find you?
So yes, you can find me on Instagram at J_UNIQUEEYE. On Facebook, it's Jermaine Gibbs. My website is www.jermainegibbs.com. My Twitter is same J_unique_I. Those are pretty much all the platforms you can follow me on, and I usually follow people right back when they follow me. So
awesome. And so can you also give information about the website for H.O.P.E?
Yes, so the Instagram for H.O.P.E Missions is H.O.P.E Missions Ghana on Instagram. The website for H.O.P.E Missions is hopemissionsghana.org. And you can reach out via email at info@hopemissionsghana.org.
Well, guys, that has been this episode of Qualified the Podcast. Again, Mr. Gibbs, we appreciate your time. Please like and subscribe on all platforms. You can search QLAFD through Google. Take care.